I've worked for a lot of big corporations, really big corporations, and they frankly make a lot of very simple marketing mistakes. In this video, I want to talk about the 7 marketing mistakes that big corporate businesses make, how you can compete with them, and what your advantages are by staying small. Hey there funnel builders, thanks for joining me on this video. If you're a funnel builder, you should consider subscribing to my channel because I produce new videos every single week, helping funnel builders like you attract, sell and close 5-figure marketing funnel deals and raise your prices and that kind of malarkey. If you're not a member of my private Facebook group, my members group, you should go ahead and check that out. The link is down below in the description. Go ahead, sign up, come and join the crowd and the party and see where everybody is there. But in the meantime, let's talk about the 7 marketing mistakes that big corporate businesses make. Big business seems to overshadow a lot of smaller businesses. I've got a video coming out soon on why Apple, for example, is not a great brand to look up to, and they're not the brand that everyone thinks they are, and they're not this perfect brand. But also a lot of big corporate businesses make some very simple marketing mistakes which they could fix, people are aware of, but they just don't know how to do it, or they have no inclination being able to do it. There's also a kind of a feeling that the big corporate businesses, and we're talking like Samsung, Microsoft, Logitech, Nikon, like these big brand name, household name businesses, how you can compete with them and get attention away from other people. Remember, a lot of your business relies on taking money and attention away from not just your direct competitors, but other options available. And I want to show you, frankly, some of the mistakes these businesses make and how you can be more agile and smarter. I think there's a big misconception that these huge corporations know what they're doing. We hear stories, for example, about PepsiCo recently suing, I think it was for something like $400,000 from a load of Indian farmers who grew potatoes on their own land or something, because Lay's chips, which is owned by PepsiCo, the farmers grow potatoes for Lay's, but they also took some of their land to grow potatoes for their own families, and Lay's is suing them for a total of something like 400 grand. Sorry, PepsiCo is suing them for a total of 400 grand, which is absolutely barbaric. Like, Pepsi doesn't need that kind of money. It's not designed to take money and give it to Pepsi. It's designed to take money away from farmers like that. And there's this kind of idea that corporation businesses are big and evil and they're awful. And yeah, for a long part of it, they are. They seem to certainly act evil. But also, the guys at the top of big corporate businesses, they are as fucked in their marketing mentality as anyone else. It's staggering to me how many businesses and how many top C-level executives are so far behind the times. It's kind of like stepping into a time machine. So with that, let's get into some of the biggest mistakes that they make. There's 7 of them in total. Certainly the most 7 common ones that I see in big corporate marketing. I've worked with a lot of these companies. I've consulted with them. I kind of get a bit bored of working with them, which is why I don't really do it anymore. And yeah, let's jump into it. So one of the first big mistakes is big, broad, generic values and mission statements. I see this a lot. Corporate businesses have a habit of rebranding every sort of 7 to 10 years. It typically happens just before or just after a buyout. Let's take a company that's like a big data company like Symantec, for example. I joined them around the time of a rebrand, and they were acquiring something insane like 100 companies a year. It was absolutely insane. And then they say, well, these are our new corporate brand values. And they'll say integrity, openness, and honesty. They go, and the reason we believe this, blah, 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 and they pay a branding company hundreds of thousands of dollars to come up with these brand values, and their C-level executives all sit around jerking each other off going, oh yeah, that's a very, very good, this is who we are. Like, you literally could not have chosen anything more bland and boring and mainstream. And the reason that corporate businesses like to choose bland and boring and mainstream is because they have shareholders. Shareholders hate risks. Now, they're not entirely to blame. We're to blame a little bit as well. If you have a pension, chances are you invest in that corporate company, so you know your money is already split to that level, so partly we as consumers are responsible for that. But with that, they really don't take any big stances. They don't come up with anything controversial. They hate the idea of pissing people off, and yet the irony is their customer service often does piss people off. I remember one of them was like, the mission is to make people's lives better through the use of technology. I was like, Jesus Christ, did it take all 5 of you like 2 years to think of this, did you? And frankly, it's pretty disgusting pretending that people are paid this kind of money and they think themselves at the top of their game to go, we've created this mission that we think is very, very, it speaks the brand. And I remember sitting there thinking, you guys haven't got a fucking clue what you're doing. And the branding company that you've hired and paid potentially 7 figures to is laughing because this is such a ludicrously easy task to have you all push paper around and come up with these incredibly bland, boring, very generic, open values and mission statements. And what you can do is choose something hyper specific, go after a market, piss some people off, make sure that they don't want to work with you, and say something along the lines of, we only help videographers who use Nikon DSLRs to get stand-up speaking gigs. Like, oh, okay, well, that's our mission, that's what we do. What are your values? You have to shoot on a Nikon, everything else, what is it? Canon is class, but Nikon has glass, or something like that, I can't remember. And I don't care either way, don't fucking comment, because I don't care either way, but you need to have values that separate people out and polarize. Another big one, employees and team members don't know what they do. This is staggering to me. The amount of times that we've done kind of a corporate marketing report or gone through each member of the team and we've said, okay, tell us what KCOM, for example, tell us what KCOM does. People will go, we're a telco company, we're a hosting company, we're a broadband company, we do servers, we're a digital technology company. Depending on who you ask, they will each give you a different answer. And that's not a good thing. That's bad, okay? But it happens a lot. A lot of corporate businesses are terrified of telling their employees what they do. And frankly, a lot of employees aren't entirely sure what it is that they do. And they're not entirely sure what the company does at large. A lot of this tends to come because they say, oh, well, leadership has to come from the top. And what we're going to do is create a corporate structure that allows people to have openness and transparency. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What you have just said there is a load of shit. When leadership comes from the top and they try and force values onto people, those values don't stick. And employees need to know what the mission of the company is. The problem is when they choose a very broad and generic value statement and mission, no one really remembers it, so no one really cares about it. People don't get behind things that are generic and boring and safe because people know, well, it doesn't matter either way if I get behind it or not. It's not taking a stance. In my opinion, you as a business are better off having every single member of your team know that all you do is help, people who shoot vlogs on Nikon cameras get stand-up speaking gigs, and you know that nothing else matters. That's all that matters. When you choose a broad statement like we use digital technology to make people's lives better, yeah, fucking everybody does that. It's called 2019 for Christ's sake. Next up, this is a big one, jumping on bandwagons with things like memes and trends. I see this a lot. A lot of businesses, they'll hire a social media marketing company and they'll try to take a company like BT or Sprint or Verizon and they'll say, oh, Meekin has cheeseburger now. And I'm like, oh, don't do that. Don't take that kind of culture and try to use it like you know what you're doing. It screams of, frankly, older, middle-aged men desperately trying to be relevant and trying to say, well, we need to attract the youths of today. Instead of creating an identity for themselves and attracting people, they try jumping on bandwagons and using that bandwagon in a very, very vain attempt to capture some kind of audience, and all you end up doing is making it look like you haven't got a fucking clue what you're talking about. It's pathetic. Whereas we, as smaller businesses, we're a part of subcultures that we can use because we're in them. We are a part of those subcultures and we're able to create those kind of memes and trends because we're in them. We don't jump on top of them, we're a part of them. Another classic mistake they make is listening to too many people. A lot of corporate businesses have a habit of doing market opinions and open crowdsourcing opinions and crowdsourcing ideas, as well as doing things like focus groups. And the problem is when you listen to 1 million people, 500,000 are going to say one thing and 500,000 are going to say another. The more people you ask, you're not better informed. Instead, what they should be doing is focusing on their brand values and saying, this is what we want to be known for and this is what we want to go out for. Are we known for that? Not looking reflectively and going, well, what does this advert say to you about the business? And what does this advert say to you? And what does our content say? And what does our logo say? Most people who sign up to focus groups are the type of people who sign up to fucking focus groups. So all you're getting is data based on people who have got nothing better to do on a Wednesday afternoon except for get paid and have some free coffee and donuts. And I can say that as someone who ran a lot of focus groups and as a student went to a lot of focus groups. When you listen to too many people, that's both internally and externally. There's no leadership. There's absolutely no leadership. And it's kind of a camel is a horse designed by committee. It means that nothing goes anywhere. A big one that we are seeing a shift in, and companies like Zero are very interesting for watching this, and I think they're a very good example of a corporate structure run well, is a lot of businesses ignore the massive changes in work habits. There's absolutely no reason to work 5 days a week from 9 to 5 for the sake of it, just because that's what we've always done. Just because your board level members have this idea about, oh, this is the working week, despite the fact that they don't work those kind kind of hours. They say that, oh, everybody else should. It's absolute nonsense. There's also no evidence to suggest that a 5-day working week is more productive, or doing 5 days and 2 off. I know businesses that do 4 on, 3 off, 4 on, 3 off. I know businesses that do 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. I know businesses that do 2, 1, 2, 1. I know businesses that do 3, 1, 3, 1. I know businesses that do 3, 2, 3, 2. There's a lot of different combinations that we have. Flexible working hours and flexible working conditions are the future, and big businesses can either jump on that, understand it, and get the growing pains out of the way now, or die when they realize that they haven't scaled at the rate they could have done, because their workforce could be working absolutely anywhere, doing just as good work, communicating just as much, and using this thing called the internet. This one kind of comes back to, you know, jumping on bandwagons, listening to too many people, lack of leadership, is lacking a key person of influence. I've met a lot of CEOs of big corporate businesses, and I have to say collectively they've all got the personality of a jar of paint. It's easy for me to say this is getting slightly more political than I realize. I actually don't have a problem with big corporate businesses. I don't have a problem with their products and services. I like Samsung, I like Microsoft, you know, I use a lot of their products and services and systems. However, having met a lot of top level CEO execs, I can say that there is a staggering percentage of them middle-aged, white, well-educated males. There is a lack of diversity, and I'm not saying that we should be for diversity's sake. What I'm saying is that's fine if you want to have every business run as a CEO level by a middle-aged, white, you know, well-educated man. That's fine, but someone needs to be standing out there as a really good leader and a key person of influence in your business. Otherwise, you have the collective audience of exactly the same demographic. I'm not saying that we should just have women or people of mixed race or different backgrounds as CEOs for the sake of it, but you need to have some kind of key person of influence. The reason Elon Musk, despite being a middle-aged, white, well-educated man, is so interesting is because he has opinions and he wants to change the world. He doesn't play it safe because he has these visions about the future. Same with Bill Gates. There's a lot of middle-aged, white, I mean, they get a bit of a beating. I mean, which, I don't know, we're not going to get into that. But to be who you are and to have a voice is 100 times more important than being who you are just for the sake of it. So by having a key person of influence, like I said, Bill Gates is another great example of that, who is someone who is visionary and thinking, I want to change this world, I want to change the future, and to be a key person of influence and kind of put some of their voices on the line rather than having a job for the sake of it. And finally, most importantly, ignoring content marketing. There are so many massive corporate brands who could do some incredible content marketing, but they lack YouTube. They go, oh, we don't really want a podcast. That's more of a small business thing. I'm like, right, well, small business accounts for 99% of the workforce. You are in the business of small business. Whether you like it or not, IBM, you know, whether you like it or not, Microsoft, you need to have a podcast. Now, some of those companies do have podcasts. Xero, for example, has a podcast, a very good podcast. But going, you know, they want to spend so much money. And this is, I used to kind of try and crush my skull at this. There is so much money spent on microsites and domains and events and paper-weighted marketing. And I'm like, you could pay someone the amount of money you're using now just for this one marketing campaign to create 2 years worth of podcast content and begin to reach out to an audience and educate them. But they think, no, but we haven't really done that before. Like, right, but at some point you didn't use the internet before, did you? At some point your business didn't accept credit cards. You still had to do manual paper invoicing. Get with the program, start doing some content marketing. It's the only type of marketing left, and that's a massive advantage that small businesses have if they're not willing to give away information. Any other classic corporate marketing mistakes? Let me know in the comments below. Sorry, I gave a bit of a bashing there to a few people. I'm not having a go at anyone. I just kind of think that there are some big mistakes that businesses like that make. They need to make a change, and if they don't, they're going to end up dying. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Let me know if you know of any more classic corporate marketing mistakes, and if you've got any examples down below, that'd be hilarious. I'd love to see them. I've probably got a couple of videos either side here as well. Thanks very much for watching. In the meantime, if this was useful, please go ahead and click subscribe. I produce new video content like this every single week. And in the meantime, I will see you on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Keep building those funnels.